James Cookson writes, "Greetings and salutations, AMC Movie Talk, and bring on the filthy. I never miss an episode because the camp is just that damn awesome. Our savior of the cinema." My question is, if Christopher Reeve never got his back injured and was still alive, could he have starred in Superman Returns and have made it a better movie, and a story revolving around an older Superman living in a newer age?
The short answer to that is no, for a couple of reasons. Christopher Reeve, I should say, his Superman films, even the one with Nuclear Man, will always hold a certain place in our hearts. It always will, and always should. I mean, they're classics, especially Superman 2, I mean, the original and all that kind of stuff. That being said, I think we look back sometimes with great fondness at those films and then kind of forget some of the reality around it. Christopher Reeve, unfortunately, was never really able to establish a really solid, great leading man career after that. As a matter of fact, I had this debate with somebody once when I suggested I think I might have even liked our new Superman more than Christopher Reeve. And my friend was arguing with me. I said, okay, hold on a second, about how great Christopher Reeve was. I said, okay, hold on a second. Name 3 non-Superman Christopher Reeve movies. Go. And he was able to name one.
Out of time.
Actually, no, that's not even the one he mentioned. He mentioned the same one I would mention, which he was brilliant in, which is called Noises Off, which is, I think, still my all-time favorite comedy. All-time favorite comedy.
So good.
Plus, if they had done it, I believe when they shot Superman Returns, I think Reeve would have been like 56 or 57 years old.
Right. So somewhere in time. Sorry.
Somewhere. Yeah. So I think that would have precluded him. Plus, remember, it would have just been a completely different movie. It wouldn't have been Superman. You couldn't have taken Brandon Routh out and just inserted Christopher Reeve and said, hey, it would have been a better movie. No, not at all. I actually like what Bryan Singer was trying to do with Superman Returns. He was trying to make a non-traditional comic book movie that was really a story about a god who had no idea what his place in the world was. And I appreciated it on that level, a great deal actually. But as an action comic book film, it sucked at the same time. So no, I don't think Christopher Reeve would have made it any better, and I don't think that's any slam on Christopher Reeve to say that. Christopher Reeve will always have his place in our hearts with those original films, but I don't believe it would have been wise if we would have been lucky enough to still have him with us. I don't think it would have been wise to put him in there, other than a cameo of some kind of stuff. Anyway, Erin, how do you see it?
I agree with you, too. I don't really think that idea is viable in terms of money-making in the way that we're making these kind of superhero action movies today. However, I do admire him. I think he was great for the role at the time. And stand alone, not talking about the industry, I would love to see an old Superman, just like I want to see Old Man Logan one day. So just personally, if I was a producer, I'd probably throw some money into it and figure out how to get that movie made. But that's just me.
Schnepp?
I think we're going to see Old Man Logan because Hugh Jackman's never going to give up Wolverine. Don't give it up!
Don't do it!
Be Wolverine until you're dead, son. Yeah. Old Man Logan, 20 years, I'll go see it.
So
he's the best Wolverine in the world. So, Christopher Reeve, I think it's to me, it's such a weird question. Like, if these things didn't happen, would he be Superman 20 years later? I think if he didn't get injured, he'd be in Superman 5. They would have done a 5th movie, probably 5 years later. Because he was a branded character.
Right.
He was the character that, sometimes people are like, I don't want to get known as this one character. I don't want to get typecast. Look, that's not a bad thing to get typecast as Superman. You're like, look, you have to be in this multi-million-dollar movie, That's going to re-energize your career and then help you be cast in other films. I'm sure he would have been in Superman 5, but not in 20 years later. Like you said, he would be like 60, and they weren't doing Kingdom Come, so,
Yeah, and the other thing to keep in mind before we get to Dennis's reaction to this, too, is that Christopher Reeve played a different Superman than what we have today. Christopher Reeve played the 1950s, 1960s Superman with the golly gosh Clark Kent. That was great because that was our 50s and 60s Superman. We don't do the 50s and 60s Clark Kent anymore because we don't live in that age. So that would be another reason for the change. Anyway, Dennis, how do you see this?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it would be a better movie or not. It's all hypotheticals. But the thing that I do know is if they did a movie with Christopher Reeves at that time, it would have bombed. I mean, that's just a fact. Like, he just doesn't have any box office pull as an actor, and he's kind of old enough where people kind of know what he is. And he, like you said, he doesn't really fit this new world. So I think if a movie had come out at that time with him, I don't think it would have done very well.
Right, and what we're learning with Stallone and Schwarzenegger right now is that the nostalgia factor isn't as big as we thought it would have been.
But remember, guys, this is an alternate universe where he wasn't, injured, so he could have been like won an Oscar.
Yeah, no, that's true, right?
I mean,
Who
like, we
knows?
can't,
never
That's
know.
true.
20 years later, they were like, no one else but Reeves. That guy's won 4 Oscars. He's got,
You're
you don't know what
absolutely
could
right.
happen.
He was
Yeah.
like
So-
Daniel Day-Lewis.
I'm just saying he
who
was a
knows?
pretty good
Right.
actor, and
You're
then he
right.
got really a horrible injury, like took him out.
Because look at John Travolta, right? John Travolta had a huge period of time when his name was nothing that you could have asked, hey, what if we brought Travolta back to do a Saturday Night Fever 3 or
Right.
whatever, say, but his career was kind of done, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, years later, he does Pulp Fiction,
Right.
and suddenly for like 10 straight years, he's a huge Hollywood name. Maybe that would have happened with Christopher Reeve.
Or might I say,
know.
Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, yeah.
Call back.
Call back.
If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to AMC Movie News on YouTube. It's free and a great way to stay updated with all the latest movie news and check out our daily show, AMC Movie Talk. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter to stay in the loop for our special prizes, giveaways, and contests.